Welcome to Lagniappe, a program about events, issues, and people. I'm Cory Crowe. I'm joined today by Doyle Jeter, founder of the Northeast Louisiana Music Trail. Doyle, thanks for being with us today on Lagniappe.
Thank you.
Well, it's good to have you here with us today. You've got an exciting event coming up and something you've been working on. I really think you've been working on it your whole lifetime, haven't you?
Pretty much.
Tell me about the Music Trail. How did you get this started?
Well, honestly, to give a cheap plug, Enox has been around for 43 plus years. It's always been a dream of myself and a couple of others to do something that would honor musicians, venues, et cetera, in our area. Our go-to was the Mississippi Blues Trail, to be honest with you, to use that format in the Arkansas Rock and Roll Highway. But it took me retiring from the pub to have the time to pursue this. In the last year and a half, our dream came true. We've been able to unveil, this will be our 11th marker we'll be unveiling in a year and a half.
Well, tell me a little bit about who you're going to be unveiling a marker to.
The marker we're unveiling on August 19th in Bastrop is for Mable John. Literally a rhythm and blues royalty. Her first record came out on Tamla Motown Records that Barry Gordy founded, and it was in 1960, a song called "Who Wouldn't Love a Man Like This." A man like that, I'm sorry. But backup singers on her first records, a little bit of history, were people like Smokey Robinson, Martha Reeves, Diana Ross. These were her backup singers before they became famous. So she led the way. Her brother, Little Willie John, who did Fever, I mean, their whole family are music royalty, to be honest with you.
And Dr. John told me for years she was kind of the road mama that kept everybody in line when they were out on tour, right?
She took care of everybody, telling them how to dress and everything else. Smokey Robinson. The famous Hitsville tour bus, you've seen pictures of it, was full of everybody you could imagine, the Four Tops, the Temps. You know, who wouldn't want to be on that bus? I sure would have been.
And I told people this before. You may not know who Dr. Mable John is.
Mm-hmm.
You know all those Ray Charles tunes. You know the Raylettes, and so you know Dr. Mable John. You may not know it, but you do.
She was the lead background singer in the Raylettes and collaborated with Ray Charles on tunes that he wrote, music that he did, and sang a lot of backup for a lot of people. I think you've got coming up her first record on Stax, which went up into number 6, I believe, nationwide crossover. Your Good Thing Is About to End.
This is one of her big hits on Stax, but had many other hits over the years.
Many.
And it will be very good to honor her. Tell me a little bit about the site selection in Bastrop. How did this come about?
Well, normally with these, without being too long-winded, with these markers, I go into a community and I say, here's what we want to do. You go through the process of working with the mayor, the police jury, the city council. You go through the process of fundraising for the marker. Our friend Bill Bowles, who you know, has been instrumental in making several of these markers happen. We pick a spot. We all decide on it. I work with the family members if they're around or local musicians. I worked with Daryl and Kevin John, some of Mabel's relatives, and we got the wording right. They were happy with it. They picked the photograph for the marker. So it goes like that.
Joining us on Lagniappe, Mayor Betty Alfred Olive, and I want to ask you a little bit about your relationship with Dr. Mable John. She was a special lady, wasn't she?
Absolutely. I got the chance to meet her and maintain a relationship with her. She would call me frequently, talk about her ministry and her career, so she was just a very, very kind lady with a big heart.
And, you know, she was born right there in Bastrop. Her father worked at the old International Paper Mill. And the biggest thing I took away with it is even though she had had all these great things she had done in her career, she wanted to come back to Bastrop, Louisiana, and help the community.
She did, and it was so amazing. She had an amazing story because she was born here. In fact, she told me that she was the child that never was supposed to be born. So she was like a miracle baby, and she was born here in Bastrop. She did not grow up in Bastrop. Her family moved on shortly after her birth. And she had this longing to always come back to her birthplace. So people would ask her, where was she born? And she would say, Bastrop. And they would say, where is Bastrop? And then she would say, next door to Monroe. So she finally had her dream to come true, at least. She came here, she celebrated her birthday, and she wanted to start a literacy center here. She looked at some buildings. She told me all about her ministry in California, where she fed families in Christmas time. She gave donations and would pull all these record companies together. And she wanted to do something similar here.
Tell me a little bit about that marker. Where in Bastrop is this marker going to sit?
It's going to sit on the grounds of the courthouse. That's a central location. It's not very far from the Bastrop City Hall. And it's right there on the grounds in a historic area. Perfect selection that Mr. Terry Matthews, who's the president of the police jury, we talk with them, so we're working in harmony to make this happen. And I can't forget Doyle, because he brought the whole concept to us, and I just so appreciate him.
Well, thousands of motorists will see this marker because everybody's got to come right through the square in the heart of Bastrop, and that'll be a great thing. Doyle, you also are setting up a big day for the marker unveiling. You're always in charge of putting the music together. Tell me who's going to be there.
Well, luckily, the musicians end up doing a lot of the work. I'm not a musician. We're kind of keeping a little quiet on this one, but I think it's okay to announce that Mark Taylor, Tailor-Made Band, they're going to be doing a special set leaning towards gospel music. That was Mable John's love in her later years. She was a gospel music pioneer, and like the mayor said, her ministries for the homeless and the poor. That's where her heart was at.
Doyle Jeter joining us on Lagniappe. Again, the marker unveiling. And Doyle, for folks to find out more about the Music Trail project and what's coming up next for you, where can they go to learn more?
Well, go to the Northeast Louisiana Music Trail group Facebook page, and it has everything you need. And please share photographs and stories about all the great music in our area.
You can find out about this and other Lagniappes by visiting our website, KEDM.org.